Hello, friends. Your good buddy Stub here at Passyunk Avenue in Battersea, London. Welcome to the One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer podcast. Little Tweener. Friday, September 26, 2025. Now, friends, today I'll be pairing beverages with the self-titled debut album by New York-based band Hut before chatting about a couple of charity events I've been honored to be part of the last couple of weeks. But let's start with a reminder that the One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer podcast may contain foul language or explicit content, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. If you're at work, put on your headphones. If you have a child in the car, listen to this shit later. And if you're any of our mothers, remind your friends over coffee that you raised us way fucking better. Now, friends, if you're listening, longtime listener, let me also remind you that you can watch the One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer podcast on the Cork Envy YouTube channel. So do that. It's under One Bourbon, One Chard, One Beer podcast. So there's the intro read done, friends. Let's get to today's music. So I'm going to chat a bit about an album that was released on 8 August, a while back, and it's the self-titled debut album by a band called Hut. Now, this band is the combination of artists Daryl Ron and Rennie Conti. So I not only discovered Hut upon release of this debut album, but also each of these two solo artists individually. So I've been down a bit of a rabbit hole listening not only to this record, but each artist's previous albums, EPs, and singles as well. But let's stick with Hut for now. And I can say that discovering this album upon release prompted me to listen through it probably at least 10 full times over that first weekend. And even as other music snuck into my rotation, I have been going back to this record for over a month now. So suffice to say, I really, really like this record. Now, from the opening track to the last, I just think this album is fucking amazing. So let's get to it, shall we? Now, the opening track, Cold Water, is a great intro to the intricate harmonies and thoughtful songwriting the album has in store. This track is about a calming partner who just makes you feel comfortable despite the chaos of life and the trials of a relationship that you might encounter. It's both sweet and contemplative. Now, musically, the track is based on a bouncy guitar riff and highlights the tight harmonies between Rennie Conti and Daryl Ron. It's a solid mid-tempo track to get this record going, and as for pairing for it, I'm actually kind of taken back to my life before moving to the UK, and imagine I'd put this song on with the first beer of a Friday afternoon after tidying my garage and waiting for my mates to join for our usual end-of-week happy hour around the fire pit. Now, next up is Changes, which starts with a contemplative lyric about the past. Now, once again, a bit of a mid-tempo rockers about remembering the past, which is obviously unchangeable. But what is changeable, however, is your perspective on the past. So I suppose this is about moving on, but still letting remembrance of your past guide your future. At least that's how I took it. Now, as for pairing with this track, friends, I would go with the whiskey. And again, I'm going to harken back to life before moving here to the UK and imagine I'd listen to this one probably alone on the patio after closing up the garage and heading to bed. Now, next track, friends, is called Low, and it's a ballad about depression that leads to loss. So, light and airy. But more specifically, it's about the pattern of depression that finds one wanting and needing others around while realizing that the depression and hopelessness one is facing is actually the thing that's pushing others away. So for its short lyric, this song is quite haunting and powerful, particularly in the last lines as the protagonist exclaims the guilt felt for being, quote, low, end quote, and not wanting to subject a partner or friends to his inner turmoils or struggles, I guess. Now for this one, friends, I think I would pair it with a bold red, and I'm going to go with a Syrah here. Like, as you begin the bottle and consider the wine in the glass, you're like hopeful, and to quote the song lyric, quote, on the brink of reverie, end quote, before pouring the second glass and, quote, slipping into someone else. Quite a powerful track there. Next up is August Moon. It's a bit of a shuffle that to me is about, getting back together with an old friend or lover and just knowing that everything is okay despite a possible time or distance apart. Maybe a spat, but maybe it's just time and distance. Now, as for pairing on this one, friends, this is absolutely having that fucking first beer with an old friend. It's easy to drink, and the conversation that starts flowing after an initial trepidation just goes easily, and you move on to the second pint. All right, track 5 is, quote, Didn't I Need You, end quote, which is a heart-wrenching, ethereal, guitar-driven fucking ballad. Friends, this track is about the loss of a relationship. Straight up. Basically, the protagonist admits that pulling back and not communicating well to his partner, instead of recognizing and leaning in, his partner also pulls back. The result of that, it's a lack of open communication that leads to guilt for both. And for our protagonist, there's definitely some fucking resentment that his partner was not paying enough attention to him all along, which resulted in his initial lack in pulling back of communicating well. Now, that resentment, hurt, and feeling of abandonment is actually the cornerstone of the song. So what starts as a question, quote, Didn't I need you, end quote, ends as the lament, I needed you. Now, look, hey, we've all likely been both parties in some relationship before that this song talks about. Hopefully not to the irreconcilable end of a relationship the song addresses, but still, we all recognize both sides of this track, I think, even if we're only getting the single perspective from the protagonist here. So for this relatable but heartbreaking song, I'm going to pair it with a whiskey, hit repeat 1 on the player, and cry, scream, sing along until the fucking bottle is empty. Now, gladly, friends, that brings us to the second half of the record, and luckily track 6, Good Impression, brings the mood up just a bit. The song's about, I don't know, just trying to be a better person and fighting the urge to give into the status quo and putting your head in the sand a bit, I think. It's about realizing that sometimes when in a bit of a funk, the fire and passion you think had gone is still inside of you, as long as you're basically trying to move forward. Now, I like this hopeful 6/8 track about, getting one's self back to a grounded state. So for a pairing with this one, friends, let's go with a light, slightly sweet Prosecco, right? I mean, fresh, fruity, and fun. Turn that frown upside fucking down. Maybe even with a brunch. So track 7, friends, is called Direct Line. Now, this song seems to be about realizing a relationship is over. Like, there's no direct way to save it, and maybe it's too fucking far gone, as so many relationships can be. Now, I dig this song a lot. It puts me in mind of a more classic outlaw country song, though. And honestly, I'd love to hear Waylon Jennings do this one. But since that's not possible, I'd actually like to start a campaign to have Chris Stapleton do a cover of this song, complete with a shredding guitar solo to close out the track. Now, friends, pairing this is easy. It's a straight up fucking Boilermaker. Pour a beer and have a shot of your favorite whiskey and enjoy that guitar riff at the end. The next track on the album, friends, is a 6/8 lament for love called Hooky. Now, this song's all about doing anything to be noticed and loved, up to and including faking your own death. Wow. Quite dramatic, isn't it? Yeah, it's dramatic, but again, it's heartbreaking. Like, the lead vocal delivery is perfect for the mood of the song, and the chorus harmonies are as tight as anything on the entire record. Now, as for pairing with this one, friends, gosh, I guess it's kind of a dealer's choice of a complex red wine, maybe? Like, maybe a Burgundy. It's often misunderstood and can sometimes go through a funky or stupid phase before revealing its true self later on. Yeah, let's go with that. All right, friends, the penultimate track is called Love I.O., and it's an alt-country ballad about indecision and guilt. It's really about, being scared to get close to someone who puts themselves out there for you. And even though you want it and want that relationship and connection, you're afraid of intimacy, whether for selfish reasons to protect yourself from getting hurt or more magnanimous reasons of actually not wanting to hurt someone else because of your indecision and doubt. But the realization that such thinking keeps one from not only realizing their personal benefits of having an understanding, caring partner, it actually results in hurting a potential partner who just wants to be intimate with, care for, and support you by rejecting them. It kind of leads to a catharsis that you might just owe that same desire to commit and care for another. So go find out. I really like this song, and I think it's a wine song. And let's go with a classic vintage Bordeaux. It shows promise early, takes a while to develop fully, but when it hits its maturity, it's well fucking worth the wait. Hopefully like one or both of the partners mentioned in this song. Now, friends, the final track is called Hut, Yeah, such a name check usually doesn't bode well for a track, particularly on a debut, but this song is quite a delightful way to end this album. Yeah, it's on the surface about starting a band, but it's really more about, I don't know, feeling like you're at the end of something and finding that instead of an end, you're actually been fighting the beginning of something that is potentially rewarding, beautiful, and soul-affirming, dare I say. It's about not giving up and not only realizing, but seeking opportunities for growth and happiness. Now, that's despite the disappointments of the past, obviously. So, this self-named track is a cathartic and hopeful one. And how many times have any of us felt a bit stagnant or even mired in failure, only to discover there's more than gold at the end of the rainbow, if I can quote the song? Now, I've found in my life that the gold isn't so much the reward, but it's the experiences and connections I've made chasing the gold that are the things I tend to cherish more. So with that, friends, I will lift my pint and say cheers to all my accomplices who've been part of any of my crazy plans over the years. I love and appreciate all of you, and I've got so many more crazy plans left to realize. So let's raise our collective glasses to helping each other chase our fucking dreams. So all that said, friends, give Hut a listen and let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts on both the record and my thoughts on the record, if that makes sense. Yeah. All right. So moving on this week, friends, I'd like to chat quickly about what else I've been up to, and I will begin with an event I was part of actually a couple of weeks ago now. So on September 13th, I actually participated in the Irreverent Warriors UK Walk. Now, friends, if you don't know about Irreverent Warriors, it's simply a group of veterans who get together for a walk through their respective cities or regions. And the overall mission of Irreverent Warriors is to bring veterans together using humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and, more importantly, prevent veteran suicide. Now, IW works with other organizations who provide services such as job placement, training, housing, service animals, and a lot more to veterans. So our platoon of veterans set out on September 13th to walk about London and share some laughs and get to know each other a little better for those of us who didn't know each other well. It was a great experience, and I'm really happy to have joined this community. We actually had veterans travel to the UK from Texas, California, Italy, Germany, and from also throughout the UK here. Small group as we were. Now, we walked through central London to take in the sights before being hosted for our lunch here at Passyunk Avenue in Battersea, which was awesome. We then set out across the Thames River for the second half of our walk through more of West London, during which we were given a short tour of the Chelsea Hospital by one of its Chelsea pensioner residents. Look up the Chelsea Hospital and the Chelsea pensioners, friends. You will get a real kick. Those guys and gals are real fun to hang out with, I promise you. So anyway, I'd like to thank our Irreverent Warrior UK team, Paul and Caroline, for helping me get involved in this and, remaining friends from here forward and being involved in any of those events. Friends, if you're a veteran and would like to join other veterans for an event like this in your area, check out the website to find events near you. Now, if you're not a veteran but would like to know more about IW and its mission or find out how you can volunteer or donate, also check out the website. I'm glad to be part of this organization now, at least here in London. So that was last Saturday, or Saturday before last, as it were. Now, last Saturday, I joined my Passyunk Avenue colleagues for a charity softball tournament benefiting the Darren Dalton Foundation, named after the Major League Baseball catcher who was diagnosed with and ultimately passed from glioblastoma brain cancer. Now, the foundation itself provides grants to families struggling to meet their financial obligations as a result of a primary malignant brain cancer diagnosis, and has granted over $500,000 to about 200 people since it was founded in 2013. So, friends, it was a good day out with Dalton's former teammates making the journey from the States to join us for our tournament. And with that, friends, I was actually fortunate enough to play on the team with Mickey Moriarty, former Phillies second baseman, who is one of only 15 major league players in history to log an unassisted triple play, and the only one, even to this point, to do it in the postseason. That was pretty badass. So I've basically played in the major leagues now, as far as I can tell. Also attending, but not playing in the game, was former MLB pitcher Danny Jackson, who's the only pitcher in league history to throw an immaculate inning in postseason, which actually occurred during Game 5 of the 1985 World Series. I can tell you this, friends, both these men were engaging and gracious, and it was nice to meet them. So that was also a really fucking good day out, to be sure, and also for a great cause. And once again, friends, if you'd like to know more about or donate to the Darren Dalton Foundation, check out their website. My colleagues and I here at Passyunk Avenue are happy to partner with the foundation, which, once again, helps ease the burden for families fighting a primary malignant brain cancer diagnosis. Well, mates, I think that's about it for this week. So I'd like to say thanks as always for supporting the podcast. I'll remind you to leave us a review, a comment, a message, and to share our little pod that could out to your friends and family. I'd also like to thank my colleagues here at Passyunk Avenue. Remind you to also check out the Yunk Life podcast, which drops every Monday. It's produced by your old buddy Stub here. And the Yunk Life features my best mates Gaz and Jesse chatting about any and all things Yunk Life, whatever that is, usually with a pint in hand and a guest at the table with them. And, of course, they're all egged on and encouraged by me from behind the camera. Also, friends, if you're in London, check out the Passyunk Avenue website and socials for our live events that we do in support of the Yunk Life podcast, or for events that I do as well, such as Quizzo and karaoke hosted by me across our several London venues, most notably here in Battersea. Friends, I'd also like to give a shout out to my buddy Kern, whom you can follow at Forgotten Grapes or at Paso Seco to learn more about Forgotten Grapes Wine Club, the Festival of Forgotten Grapes, got it right this week, or Paso Seco's Sparkling Wine. And always, friends, keep in mind you can follow me on all the socials at Cork Envy. With that, friends, as always, thanks for listening, watching, commenting, sharing, and generally supporting the One Bourbon, One Chard, or One Beer podcast and our shenanigans. Until next time, remember to be nice, be safe, and be happy. Cheers, mates.